he overcame a lot as a musician and his story, and he shares what happens down that road, just as you said, Ken. So I'll let people go and find the book and explore that.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
I've got two books to talk about the two different topics that you just talked about. One is the trauma that you were talking about, like really felt like you were there. A book that's helped me tremendously is The Body Keeps the Score. And it has helped me so much with overcoming trauma in my life. And congratulations for taking that journey. And to me, if you go into flow state frequently, you never know what's actually going to pop in, right? Some of that trauma can come back. And if you don't know how to manage it or get rid of it, the pain from trauma is as real as it was the moment that it happened if you don't know how to deal with it. So the body Keeps the Score has been a huge book for my life. But yesterday I finished a book called Money Magic. And one of the tricks that she does is she says, write on a piece of paper where you're currently at in life. And then on another piece of paper, write on where you want to be, right? And this can be financial or relationship or whatever. And she said, put yourself there and feel what that's like. And then slowly walk through that other one and then see what that's like. And then stand there and really try to feel what that's going to feel like. And then keep going. So what you did with the TEDx rug is almost exactly what she said to do out of that book, Money Magic. And I don't know if you've read it or not, but
yes, I'm familiar with the book. I will share with you a little exercise when I was going through my NLP training. And it's actually very, very interesting, very similar to what you're talking about, Ken. And that is, is that you have, and I actually did it right here in my music studio, you have an imaginary line of you are here, right? And say you are unhappy in your life and you have this lifeline. And so it's literally a line, and you need to go back down the line to find a place where you were happy. Like, when were you ever happy? The most happiest moment in your life. And where do you go down? And you maybe have to go back a ways. Maybe you were 8 years old and it was Christmas morning and every present you ever dreamed of happened to be there and Santa Claus brought them all. So you feel that moment of happiness and joy.
right.
And then you go past the unhappy stuff that, everyone has something in their life that they're not joyful about, but you go past that and you arrive at where you want to be, what you've achieved and what you have. And you stand there and you just bring this joy of gratitude and abundance into your life. And when you go through these exercises, what you have to remember is, and it's kind of the mind travel, what you were talking about, is that you always have to make sure that you bring yourself back. So as an NLP practitioner, if I'm going to do this exercise with the child, I always have to make sure to, bring them back to where they are now. You can't just leave them there at 8 years old, and you can't just, leave them in the future. That we kind of need to come back. But one of the things that I have really developed is PMA, and PMA is positive mental attitude. You may have heard of Dr. Carol Dweck. I share a lot of her teachings in the course that I teach, and she's written a book called Mindset. And one of the studies that she did was about your fixed mindset, where you think this is as good as I can get, and a growth mindset where you keep moving forward. And the cool thing is that as a teacher, you can actually take your fixed mindset persona. For me, it's Nervous Nelly. She shows up and has, who do you think you are? You think you're going to be a guest on like Ken's, podcast? Like, are you worthy? Does he really want to talk to you? So that's Nervous Nelly. And she is in the fixed mindset. But then if you look at your growth mindset, there's Glory the Gladiator. And she's like, Glory the Gladiator? You're going to have fun talking to Ken. He's a cool guy. So it is the mindset that can lead you. And here's the thing, Ken, we all have to take ownership of our destiny. Nothing is handed to anyone. And, I've been on, the virtual stage with Tony Robbins when I was at UPW. And when you look at, I've done, business mastery, and I'm actually going to be on the stage with Sage Levine from Women Rocking Business. I'm honored and thrilled to be in her program and to be on the stage with her. And what's cool about that is that you have to take ownership of yourself, because no one's going to hand you anything if you don't take a step forward. So as far as
Right.
business goes, just dive in, right? There's no mistakes. There's only lessons.
I have a slightly embarrassing story that I'll share with you that happened in Vegas this week. So I have a ton of food trauma in my life, right? I've got a really bad relationship with food. And I had lunch with Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, last Thursday. And I called my wife in a little bit of a panic attack. And I'm like, what if I don't like what they're eating?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a grown man, right? All day long, successful guy, bringing in lots of money for lots of businesses, all these things. And I'm calling my wife saying, what if I don't like the food that's going to be served at this meal? And she says, nobody's going to give a shit. Nobody's going to care if you eat or not. So why are you doing this to yourself? Just go and have, like, it's like you're eating lunch with Rand Paul. Like, go and have a good time and don't think about the food at all. So I did, and I didn't like the food, and I just set it to the side, and nobody cared. It was
Nobody
okay.
cares. Yeah.
Nobody cared.
It's funny. You and I are admitting a lot of stories right now. I used to weigh over 200 pounds. I was this lovely little chubby girl. And it was because I was working on my music degree. And by now, I kind of get obsessed with things, right? If I'm writing, I'm going to write for 8 to 10 hours. Like, just leave me alone. I'm writing. I go into my zone. And when I was working on my ARCT diploma, I was practicing around 7+ hours per day. And all I would do was eat junk food and practice and eat junk. And you can see my beautiful piano back there. So it was my best friend for many, many years. It's a lot of years of practicing in order to achieve that level. And I just kept getting bigger and bigger because all I was doing is sitting on a piano bench and eating. Like, that was my two things. And I realized, and then I finished my music degree and, framed it in gold and hung it up on the wall. And then I was like, okay, well, what's the next goal? And once again, I got a trainer and went, I can't live like this. I was in pain. Was like crawling down the hall, literally crawling. My knees and my body just isn't built to carry that kind of weight. So I thought, well, it's time to change. And then my mission was that I was going to run a marathon. And the first trainer that I got, she kind of went, like, you're not going to run a marathon, and I thought,
that's a bad
okay.
trainer.
And I fired her that day.
Yeah.
I said, if you don't believe in me, how can I believe in me? So I got a new trainer, and her name is Shauna, and we're actually still friends to this day. This is going back a lot of years. And she looked at me and she said, well, of course you're gonna do a marathon. Why wouldn't you? Of course you are. Let's just get started. So we started with walking. And then what she helped me do was create a new normal. And she said, no, you're not on a diet, Glory. This is a new normal. It's just you change, how it's so anyway, it was a long path. But not only did I do multiple half marathons, but I ran a full marathon and got the medal to prove it, as I did 26.2 miles and crossed the finish line.
Congratulations.
And and it was just another one of those, but I was training every single day. Like, that's one of my achievements. And now I love running. I've always been a runner. In high school, I was a runner. I was always been in sports, but it was just sort of those years when, I was just sitting there practicing and went, well, this doesn't work. So now I'm vegetarian, kind of vegan vegetarian, but that's just normal for me now. So I really appreciate that, because just like you, Ken, said, what if I don't like what they're eating? One of the things I often struggled with being vegetarian is that now everything is like vegan, vegetarian, but way back then it was like, oh, you're not eating meat. It was that attitude. And I was just, I'd almost be embarrassed and have to not say too much, just kind of scrape it to the side of my plate. But I think we need to overcome those things and just embrace that moment of, like, you get to hang out with all these people. And like you said, how cool is that? Either that or you eat a lot before you go, and then you're literally not hungry, and then you don't even worry about it.
Right. Yeah. It's just, it's a weird thing, but as we go through and we're growing our businesses, we're going to meet other people and we're going to have to interact with them. And we all have weird, bizarre stuff about us, especially entrepreneurs. It's one of the weirdest bunch of people I've ever met in my life. I love it. I fit right in. It's so true.
It's so true. I remember my daughter, she actually taught me, I'll give her a little shout out. My daughter, Sherry, she's a music producer in Las Vegas, and she's vegan. And it's actually, she's one of the reasons why I turned out as a vegetarian as well. It was a lot of years ago, and her and I were doing a road trip together. And it seemed every time we stopped along the way, a long road trip, 4 days of driving, each restaurant would be like, roll their eyes, because she would be ordering very fussy stuff. And so I just said, I'll just have what she's having, and then landed up, feeling a lot better about my health. And so I continued with that. But I realized that she always used a word when we would be socializing, and she would just say, she never said, oh no, I'm vegan. I don't, she never said, what she said was, oh no, I'm okay. That was it. And then she would just go on and change the subject. No, I'm okay. So I went, that's a great word. So I kind of stole that idea from her. And so when someone says, oh, do you want some of this? Or I just go, oh no, I'm okay. And then I just keep talking about something else.
Right.
So sometimes you're right. You just need to be there for the people you're hanging out with. Like, who cares what you're putting into your own body, right? Does it really matter?
It's amazing how much pressure we put on ourselves about what we do or don't put into our body. And it's a horrible thing. For me, food's a bad one. Alcohol's another bad one for me. And in business, it's a horrible situation, because it's, alcohol is the only drug in the world that people look at you funny when you don't do it. So,
Well, I'm a non-drinker. Actually, none of our family drinks. And so it's just something
in the music industry. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. My son's an entertainer too. He actually runs 3, multi-million-dollar businesses out in Vancouver, Canada. He's also in the, entertainment industry, as he was a performer, but realized that if he really wanted to grow financially, he's always had a business brain. I taught him everything he knows. Ha, ha, ha. So, anyway, David is his name, David St.Germain. He's actually written a book on Zero to Hero. And nice. I'm going to let you explore that. I won't put out a spoiler alert, but he overcame a lot as a musician, and his story, and he shares what happens down that road, just as you said, Ken. So I'll let people go and find the book and explore that. I was his publisher, because I'm a publishing company, as you know. Yep. And it was really difficult for me to read the book, because even though I'd been there and helped him live through that, it was still a challenge. And when I see what he's grown, and his businesses that he runs with hundreds of people working for him, I'm blown away. It just goes to show you that don't put on the, oh, poor, poor, pitiful me sign. You have an opportunity, just like everyone else. It doesn't matter if you have money or you don't. YouTube is your greatest teacher right now. You don't even have to pay for anything. So don't make up an excuse of saying, oh, well, you got to go to Harvard and you got to do this. No, I go to the University of YouTube. That doesn't mean that I don't sign up for coaching, which I do, and programs, which I do. But a lot of that too, just to get started, is just take the first step towards what you really want, with that desire, that determination, and just go for it, because the world is your oyster and there's so many opportunities. And live with passion, right? Don't live in that black hole, because it's not fun. Just get out of there.
All right. So super proud of you for taking that leap and saying, I'm going to run the marathon, I'm going to lose the weight, all those things. There had to have been a moment where you were cloudy that got you there, right? And I'm all too familiar with living in that id or the lizard brain, whatever you want to call it, right? It's really easy to escape your consciousness and just go through the motions. And I'm so familiar with that world. If you were to go back and talk to that 200-pound young lady, sit at the piano, before you got to where you were, what advice would you give yourself then? Or is the advice that you finally got to be able to give yourself and go to run that marathon, is that the best advice you would have? Or would you go back now and tell her something different?
I think I would. I think I would say it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I'm a bit of a girl like that. Either I'm eating like a pig and practicing 7 hours a day, or I'm eating vegetables and running for 4 hours a day, right? So I'm a bit of an extremist. And I think there has to be balance, which I'm finding now is the balance in enjoying life and in sharing my knowledge. I like to share, I like to teach. And I used to teach, my young students, and now I am teaching teachers and as I run my business. But I think I also need to accept lessons from my now grown up self to say that you don't need to be, oh my gosh, you had an apricot ice cream cone when really you should have just had the apricot without the ice cream. So I think that there needs to be balance, but it also needs to be to keep going, because sometimes you think, oh, screw it, it's not going to work for me. And I think that's not the right thing to think.
Right.
There is balance, and just get back on the horse, as they say, and keep going. And for me, that's really what got me there, was to say, listen, it's time. And coaches, you're a coach, Ken, the importance of coaching. There's not an athlete on planet Earth that I know of that has never had a coach.
Right.
It just doesn't exist. And if you think about business people, and I mentioned Tony Robbins' name, he had a coach, Jim Rohn, right? I've listened to Jim Rohn for many, many, many years. I probably have half of his stuff memorized. I've listened to it again and then again and then again. And it's the same as having a music lesson. Just because you have one piano lesson doesn't mean you can play the piano. You're going to learn again, and then you're going to learn again, and then you're going to learn again, until what you said, Ken, which is, in order to really learn, you need to teach.
Yes.
And that's really when it has come into the mind, when you can then share your lessons as an educator and say, okay, I got this now. But then you're going to take the next level of coaching so that you can continue to grow, because you can only grow as high as your coach, right? I know for myself in my business, I, had a 6-figure coach. I wanted to be a 6-figure business. And then I outgrew my coach and I needed a 7-figure coach because I'm a 7-figure business. So you always need to continue to elevate, the people that you surround yourself with. And I call that the circle of fifths. And I'm sure you've heard of that. Surround yourself
the 5
with
people closest to you
that you want to associate with, and don't be afraid to put up the fence. And it could be family, it could be friends, it could be colleagues, and they need to stay on that side. Doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means that they cannot be in this side, this circle. Otherwise you can't accomplish what you want in your life. And I'm very guarded. I'm very guarded with my circle. I love everyone, but this is my circle that lifts me up.
My circle's pretty small on the people that are in like the tight circle.
Yeah.
And I just want to clarify one thing, because you said, the balance here, and we're talking to business owners, entrepreneurs, risk takers. One of my favorite books to reference is How to Lie with Statistics. It was written in the 30s. And because we're entrepreneurs and we know how to do that, living in a balanced world is not extreme highs and extreme lows that average out to a middle ground for you. It's more time in that middle. Touch each side of that side, that's for, to keep your sanity straight, but it's staying right down the center on pace for where you want to be, right? Keep your head in going. And really
I think too, it's interesting that we're talking about that, Ken, because it's actually a brilliant topic. And I think being an entrepreneur is that the balance comes from what you are focusing on. So I'm growing my business. We're an international company. I'm writing another book. I've already written, 50 plus books, and we have online courses and And my balance might be that I'm focusing on growing my business every day, and I'm still having fun. What I'm not going to include is cleaning my house or doing yard work, because it's not my thing. So I'm going to hire someone to clean my house. So there has to be balance between what do you enjoy doing and do that. And so for me, I love my business. It lights me up. I love talking to you, Ken, and I love, writing books, and that's what brings me joy. So I think when we talk about balance as an entrepreneur, think about what brings you joy. And if you love doing what you do for your business, if you love being a music educator, if you love running a podcast, if you love being a coach, then do that and do it with joy and bring your A game. And the balance for you might be, okay, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to write a couple of books. I'm going to do this. And so balance means different things. For me, balance does not mean sitting and front of the TV and watching TV. It's not my thing.
No.
That's not balance. That's boring. I want to,
Right.
so I think
We do that
balance
for about
is
30 minutes a night. Me and the wife sit
Yeah.
down, we watch one show, and then we go to bed. That's
exactly.
our
Yeah.
the decompression time, right? Which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
I think people need that too. But
You do. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I'm a comedy girl. So if I want to just chill, I just do the earbuds in, and then I love comedy because I don't have to think about anything. I can just laugh.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So yeah.
we
it's
like
fun.
watching the paranormal stuff. All the
Yeah.
paranormal caught on camera. It's just super entertaining for us. But
It is, right?
Yes.
It's so entertaining. That's awesome.
awesome. Glory, I've had such a great time talking with you. I definitely hope that we get to talk again, if not get to meet in person at some point. It's been
For
just
sure.
a pleasure. So is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with before you go?
Yeah. Other than you and I are going to go for sushi in Vegas.
All right. I'm there.
Yeah. I think I guess just a closing thoughts, Ken, is just, if I can serve you in any way, if you are a music educator or if you'd like to learn more about what we do, feel free to check us out at ultimatemusictheory.com. And if you're interested in our programs, you can go to joinumt.com. So joinumt.com. You'll learn about our Ultimate Music Theory certification and lead educator program, and you can book a free strategy session call with me, and we'll just see where life takes us. So I want to say thank you so much, Ken. It's been an absolute
Awesome.
delight.
And
to chat
actually,
with you.
I screwed up. I do have one more question, and
All
I think
right.
it's important. I know that you teach music theory. I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, business owners, or executives that have struggled with something in their life, and they've picked up guitar or singing or something as their own kind of being in touch with oneself, I guess, being in the moment.
Yeah.
Right? Is this program something that somebody could pick up for that too? Like if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, and you're looking for something to help you escape all the other stuff, is that something this would be good for?
Yeah, actually, we also have, and this is for older beginners. So we also have our complete music theory course, and and so that's really specifically designed for as a self-study course for musicians, as you mentioned, whether you dabble in guitar, you dabble in piano, and you just go, I've always wanted to learn a little bit more in order, maybe I want
Right.
to compose or write my own songs. So they will find all of that on our website, and that's called our complete music theory course. And that is just a self-study course for grown-ups, as I say. So it's not really
Okay.
for kids because it moves pretty quickly. So it's really for the adult learner.
I personally found boxing as my other thing to do in life to help me do that. And if you don't know what that is and you think it might be music, give it a shot, because
Yeah.
I know that it's helped a lot of friends that I have that struggle with some of the same things that I was struggling with high pressure situations,
Yeah.
having something to go home to other than Netflix that they can do
Yes.
and be present in themselves and not just check out, which I think checking out is probably the worst thing.
Mhm.
You need to do it. Don't stay there. Don't stay checked out for too long. It's dangerous to stay checked out for long. So
Yep.
awesome.
PMA
All
all
right.
the way.
Thank you, Glory, so much. I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, Ken. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.